I talk smack back to my GPS. I do. Stop telling me what to do all the time. You know, I have awakened in thy shelter. Oh my God, and it becometh him that seeketh that shelter to abide within the sanctuary of thy protection and the stronghold of thy defense. Illumine my inner being, oh my Lord, with the splendors of the day spring of thy revelation, even as thou appearest, illumine my outer being with the morning light of thy favor. I have awakened in thy shelter. Oh my God. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone in Zoom. I know we have Vicky here and we have Andy. Good morning, Vicky and Andy. Why don't you, for the good of the Facebook people, we have a slightly different setup. So I know that the Facebook people can hear you guys when you speak. So why don't you say hi to the folks out there in Facebook land? Because how you doing, Vicky?
Mm, I'm doing very well, and hello, everyone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Andy, how are you?
I'm I'm doing just fine.
There you go.
How
Excellent. I
about
don't know. Is anyone else in the Zoom room?
Aloha, Pa. This
Oh,
is
allow.
Maxa.
How are you this morning?
Very well, thank you.
Now I
Thank you
see.
for having me.
We're so glad you're here. Is now? Wait a minute. This is Luna.
Luna is my business account for Zoom, for
That's your logo.
yeah, on Zoom.
What's
So
your name again?
Maxa.
Okay, my hearing's bad. So say that again.
Not a problem. It's Maxa, Mahsa.
Matza.
Yes.
Okay, that's easy. How you doing, Matza? Good morning.
Very well. Thank you so much. And thanks
Glad-
for doing this.
Now let me ask you: is this your first time joining us?
It is. It
Oh, wow.
is.
And where are you joining us from, if you don't mind my asking?
Not a problem at all. Wesley Chapel, Tampa.
Oh, you're in Wesley Chapel.
Yes.
Okay, that's not terribly far away.
No, no, not at all.
We're so glad you joined us. Thank you for being here.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. And hey, everyone out there in Facebook land, we're glad you joined us, whether you're here in real time or if you, choose to somehow find value in this program after, sometimes streaming it online. As you can see, I'm here alone. Daryl is not here, and it is. Um, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I don't have my book here. I don't have a prayer, but you know what? I do have a prayer. I'm just not going to say it out of the prayer book. I think maybe we need to make it a regular habit to say the unity prayer. So we're going to say the unity prayer. Oh my God, unite the hearts of thy servants and reveal to them thy great purpose. May they follow thy commandments and abide in thy law. Help them, O God, in their endeavor and grant them strength to serve thee. O God, leave them not to themselves, but guide their steps by the light of thy knowledge, and cheer their hearts by thy love. Verily, thou art their helper and their Lord. And that is a prayer by Baha'u'llah. Now, as I said, I'm not ready, but I'm going to get ready real quick. I've got some big preparations that I did not do. So just give me a moment. Okay, we're ready. We are ready.
Well,
Now, if
I'm glad to know that you were ready. If you weren't, I could have played some theme music while you went and
that would have
got
been
your
nice.
books.
Maybe that would have been really nice.
Well,
Maybe just
next
some
time you get in a jam like that, I'll be happy to help you out,
house
man.
music. House music would be nice. Okay, now if you are joining us, or have if you've been with us, so you know that we are studying the book "Some Answered Questions" by Abdul Baha, in which Abdul Baha answers some questions of a metaphysical nature, but also some practical everyday questions. And it is a book that is well known in Baha'i circles. And if you are someone who is interested in getting the contents of this book, you don't have to purchase the book itself. You can, of course, but you can access it online. All you have to go to is oceanlibrary.com, I think, and there is an app that you can put on your phone, Oceans 2. And it's not just Baha'i writings, it's writings from all of the major faiths. It is, like so many other sources, a library in an app. And so, if you'd like to get the actual content, that's one way that you can get it. But we are on chapter 3, and this chapter talks about the need for an educator. And by educator, what we said last week from Abdul Baha, straight from Abdul Baha, is that man is in need of an educator. And as far as our advancement, as far as becoming decent human beings that are members of my word, a decent society, we need an educator. And God has provided educators for mankind from the beginning of the creation of humanity. Okay. Some whose names are lost to history because they predated history, but some very familiar names that you may know. And so we're going to be covering those in the coming weeks. Okay, but we're first going to finish this chapter on the need for an educator. And I know where we stopped, but I'm going to go back a little further, uh, because I feel that, especially with all the things that are happening in the world. It's easy, if you're in the United States, it's real easy for us to think of some of the terrible recent events here in the U.S. um, and rightfully so. But let's face it, there are things all over the world on a regular basis that point to the need for spiritual guidance. And so, uh, Abdul Baha points out that, Um, let's see. I was going to start from that paragraph, but I think I'm going to start from this previous paragraph. But it needs a little bit of context. He is talking about the power of God, shall we say, the creative power of God, and why we need again an educator. Mankind needs an educator, and so Abdul Baha says it is clear, however, that mere human power is incapable of fulfilling this great office, and that the results of human thought alone cannot secure such bounties, the bounties of God and the Holy Spirit, etc. He goes on, how can a single person with no aid or assistance lay the foundation of such a lofty edifice? A divine and spiritual power is therefore needed to enable him to carry out this mission. Behold, one sanctified soul revives the world of humanity. One sanctified soul revives the world of humanity. And I lost my place because I wanted to emphasize revives the world of humanity, transforms the face of the globe, develops the minds, quickens the souls, inaugurates a new life, establishes new foundations, orders the world, gathers the nations and religions under the shadow of one banner, delivers man from the realm of baseness and deficiency, and exhorts and encourages him to develop his innate and acquired perfections. Now, it says certainly nothing short of a divine power could accomplish this feat. He then says, one must examine this matter fairly, as this indeed is an occasion for fairness. And I get it. Because if we were to stop there, it's easy to say, especially if you are not, if you were either let's say an agnostic or even an atheist, you might say, well, there's no one, even if you're someone who knows of those souls that we refer to as manifestations of God, you can look around the world and you can say, well, that didn't happen. But if we continue, you'll see his point. So he says, one must examine this matter fairly, as this indeed is an occasion for fairness, a cause which all the governments and peoples of the earth, notwithstanding all their powers and their armies, are unable to promote and promulgate. One holy soul promulgates without aid or assistance. One holy soul promulgates without aid or assistance this cause. Can this be accomplished through the agency of mere human power? Can this be accomplished through the agency of mere human power? He says, no, by God. With an exclamation point if you don't have the book. No, by God. For example, Christ alone and single handedly raised the banner of peace and amity, peace and love, peace and amity, a feat that the combined forces of all the mighty governments of the world are unable to accomplish. Consider how numerous are the diverse governments and peoples, such as Italy, France, Germany, Russia, England, and the like, who have been gathered together under the same canopy. The point is that the advent of Christ brought about fellowship among these differing peoples. Now, I'm sure someone out there is saying, well, I'm not seeing that now. Just hang on. Indeed, some among the peoples who believed in Christ were so closely united as to offer up their life and substance for one another. Such was the case until the days of Constantine, through whom the cause of Christ was exalted. After a time, however, and as a result of differing motives, divisions broke out again among them. You hear that? You hear that? After a time, however, and as a result of differing motives, divisions broke out again among them. Our meaning is that Christ united these nations, but after a while, the governments caused the resurgence of discord. Christ united these nations, but after I missed a word. Christ united these nations, but after a long while, the governments caused the resurgence of discord. I kind of wish Daryl was here so I could say, I've got a question, Daryl. I mean, you think about that. Abdul Baha is pointing out, the governments caused these divisions. Christ united them. The governments tore them apart. Okay. The governments caused the resurgence of discord. I have to take my glasses off. I'm having some issues here. Okay, that's better. He goes on to say, the main point is that Christ accomplished what all the kings of the earth were powerless to achieve. He united differing nations and changed ancient customs. He united differing nations and changed ancient customs. Consider what great differences existed between Romans, Greeks, Syrians, Egyptians, Phoenicians, and Israelites, as well as other peoples of Europe. Christ abolished these differences and became the cause of concord among these peoples. But again, he goes back and he kind of he gives us a little more context. Although after a long while the governments disrupted this unity, Christ had indeed accomplished his task. So you can't look at, those things down historically that have followed the establishment, the revelation of Christ, and felt like, well, then it didn't work. Well, it worked, but then mankind did his own thing. And that always seems to be the problem, doesn't it? Our meaning is that the universal educator in this case is capitalized, which means it's a reference to God or the manifestation of God in this case. Our meaning is that the universal educator must be at once a material, a human, and a spiritual educator. The universal educator, capital E, must be at once a material, a human, and a spiritual educator. And soaring above the world of nature must be possessed of another power so that he may assume the station of a divine teacher. I think that is worth repeating. Our meaning is that the universal educator must be at once a material, a human, and a spiritual educator, and soaring above the world of nature must be possessed of another power, so that he may assume the station of a divine teacher. Were he not to wield such a celestial power, he would not be able to educate, for he would be imperfect himself. Were he not to wield such a celestial power, the power of God, he would not be able to educate. He wouldn't be any better than the rest of us. He would not be able to educate, for he would be imperfect himself. How then could he foster perfection? If he were ignorant, how could he make others wise? If he were unjust, how could he make others just? If he were earthly, how could he make others heavenly? I kind of want to put the book down and just stop right there because those questions are something that just makes so much sense. If he were ignorant, how could he make others wise? If he were unjust, how could he make others just? And if he were earthly, how could he make others heavenly? He goes on, now we must consider fairly. There's that word again, fairly. And I want to put a little something in there with that. When I think fairly, I think we have to put aside our preconceived notions. We have to put aside our prejudices. And that's a that's a heavy load most of us carry. That's hard to put down. Our preconceived notions and our prejudices. He says, now we must consider fairly whether these divine manifestations that have appeared had all these attributes or not. What were those attributes? The attributes of perfection, the attributes of wisdom, justice, being heavenly, of heaven. We must consider fairly whether these divine manifestations that have appeared had all these attributes or not. If they were devoid of these attributes and perfections, then they were not true educators. Now, I've got to tell you, when I first read that a long time ago, I'm thinking, wait a minute. See, I don't know about you, but, having grown up in the Christian tradition and having heard or known something about other religions, not a lot, a little bit, a lot of times I got the information from, let's say, people who were either not truly knowledgeable about that prophet that founded that faith, that manifestation of God. And a lot of times you got a more negative picture of that particular founder of that faith. Okay. But Abdul Baha, without limitation, he says, if they were devoid of these attributes and perfections, then they were not true educators. And yet, as we continue, as we read this book, you'll find that, these educators, most of them, they were just people. And yet, Abdul Baha is saying they were imperfect. We'll find out how he can say that with plausibility as we read on. Therefore, it is through rational arguments, it is through rational arguments that we must prove to rational minds. Not only if you're going to be the one arguing, you have to be fair, but you also have to be talking to people who are fair in their own thinking, who are willing to put aside their preconceived notions and their prejudices to really listen fairly. It is through rational arguments that we must prove to rational minds the prophethood of Moses, of Christ, and of the other divine manifestations. And the proofs and arguments which we provide here are based on rational and not on traditional arguments. You know, in the Baha'i writings, we're told one of the dangers that can keep you veiled from a new revelation is just following tradition, and not being willing to consider other possibilities. It has thus been established by rational arguments that the world of existence stands in utmost need of an educator. The world of existence is where we're living, the contingent world, the physical world. It has thus been established by rational arguments that the world of existence stands in utmost need of an educator, and that its education must be achieved through a celestial power. I want to point out, but maybe I should do this. It has thus been established by rational arguments that the world of existence stands in utmost need of an educator, and that its education must be achieved through a celestial power. There is no doubt that this celestial power is divine revelation. This celestial power is divine revelation, and that the world must be educated through this power which transcends human power. There is no doubt that this celestial power is divine revelation. Once again, if you grew up in the Christian tradition, I always like to point that out about myself. We heard about the revelation. We heard about the revelation. But what we learn through the writings of Baha'u'llah is that all of these prophets brought a new revelation. They all brought a new revelation. There is no doubt that this celestial power, the revelation is the power, that this celestial power is divine revelation, and that the world must be educated through this power, which transcends human power, goes beyond human power. And that's the end of that chapter. And in the next few chapters, what Abdul Baha does, which we'll start today, is he starts talking about some of the more well known manifestations of God. So we're going to look at chapter 4, and the first one Abdul Baha talks about is Abraham. Abraham. Let me look at oh my goodness, 10:23. I think I'll take time out and do a song. No, I'm going to read a little bit about Abraham. Read a little bit about Abraham. So he says, among those who possess this divine power and were assisted by it, by that divine power, among those who possess this divine power and were assisted by it was Abraham. The proof is this: Abraham was born in Mesopotamia of a family that was ignorant of the oneness of God. He opposed his own people and government and even his own kin. He rejected all their gods, and alone and single handed he withstood a powerful nation. Such opposition and resistance were not simple or trivial. Think about that. Alone and single handed he withstood a powerful nation. Such opposition and resistance were not simple or trivial. It is though, I'm sorry, having a little visual problem here again. It is as though one were in this day to deny Christ. I'll read that again. It is as though one were in this day to deny Christ among Christian nations who firmly cling to the Bible, or as though one were, God forbid, to blaspheme Christ in the papal court, the court of the Pope. To blaspheme Christ in the papal court, oppose all his followers, and to act thus in the most vehement manner. So he's given us some context once again, using that a comparison or an analogy. What Abraham did is as big as if someone in our time were to say, I mean, in the halls of authority, all this stuff you all are saying about Christ, nothing. Now, of course, we have the right to believe what we believe, but to withstand a nation, that's a whole different level. These people believed not in one God, but in many gods to whom they ascribed miracles, and hence they all rose up against Abraham. I'm going to read that again. These people believed not in one God, but in many gods to whom they ascribed miracles. And that explains one of the things that Baha'u'llah teaches us is that don't base your faith on miracles. He says miracles are possible, but you don't base your faith on it. And so here is Abdul Baha saying, these people believe not in one God, but in many gods to whom they ascribe miracles. And hence, they all rose up against Abraham. No one supported him except his nephew Lot and one or two other individuals of no consequence. At last, the intensity of his enemies' opposition obliged him, utterly wronged, to forsake his native land. He ran, I shouldn't say he ran, but it made him decide he had to go. In reality, he was banished, that he might be reduced to naught, to nothing, and that no trace of him might remain. Let's just get rid of him. Abraham then came to these regions, that is, to the Holy Land, what we know as the Holy Land. My point is that his enemies imagined that this exile would lead to his destruction and ruin, and indeed, if a man is banished from his native land, deprived of his rights, and oppressed from every side, he is bound, even if he be a king, to be reduced to naught. It's kind of hard to go someplace by yourself, start all over again. But Abraham stood fast and showed forth, I'm going to read that again, but Abraham stood fast and showed forth extraordinary constancy, and God changed his exile into abiding honor, till at last he established the oneness of God. For at that time, the generality of mankind were idol worshippers. And with that, I think I will stop and do a song. And we'll pick that up after this. This is a song that we do from time to time. The sun is rising on a new day, shedding light across the land. The Father's showing us the right way to take His love to all of man. But some keep fighting, some keep killing, shedding blood around the world. But keep believing, keep on praying. One day God's kingdom will be unfurled. All we want is peace high on every mountain. All we want is peace down in every valley. All we want is peace flowing like a river. We'll never cease. All we want is peace. Hear the sounds of children crying. Hear the mothers and the fathers So how we ever come to this place? We all know a better way. And put a smile on God's face and start a brand new day. 'Cause all we want is peace high on every mountain, peace down in every valley. All we want is peace flowing like a river may never cease. All we want is peace, red and yellow, brown, black and white, mothers and fathers, and sisters and brothers, rich and poor, captive and free. All we want is peace for every Muslim, every Christian, every Jew and Zoroastrian, for every Buddhist, every Baha'i and Hindu, every child of God. There's a way that we really want. All those rockets, all those rifles, why don't we take them, melt them down, and build the plowshares, leave the hungry till no more hunger can be found. 'Cause all we want is peace high on every mountain, peace down in every valley, flowing like a river may never cease. All we want is peace. 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 I don't know about you, but that's all I want. Some peace. Peace. Okay, so we're reading about Abraham. And I'm trying to find my place. Maybe a little house music. No, I'm I'm kidding, Andy. Okay, we talked about the fact that we were reading about the fact that Abraham, he'd been exiled. He was exiled. But he stood fast, showed forth extraordinary constancy. And God changed his exile into abiding honor till at last he established the oneness of God. For at that time, the generality of mankind were idol worshippers. This exile became the cause of the progress of Abraham's descendants. This exile resulted in their being given the Holy Land. This exile resulted in the diffusion of Abraham's teachings. This exile resulted in the appearance of a Jacob from the seed of Abraham and a Joseph who became ruler in Egypt. This exile resulted in the appearance of a Moses from that same seed. I love the way Abdul Baha is using, what is it, parallelism to to drive home the point. Look what this exile resulted in. This exile resulted in the appearance of a being such as Christ from that lineage. This exile resulted in a Hagar being found, of whom Ishmael was begotten, and from whom Muhammad in turn descended. This exile resulted in the appearance of the Bab from the lineage of Abraham. This exile resulted in the appearance of the prophets of Israel from the progeny of Abraham, and so it will continue forevermore. This exile resulted in the whole of Europe and most of Asia entering under the shadow of the God of Israel. Behold, what a power it was that enabled and oh my goodness. Ah, boy. Listen. This exile resulted in the whole of Europe and most of Asia entering under the shadow of the God of Israel. Behold, what a power it was that enabled an immigrant. Oh, my Lord. I'm sorry. Consider the times. This exile resulted in the whole of Europe and most of Asia entering under the shadow of the God of Israel. Behold, what a power it was that enabled an immigrant to establish such a family, to found such a nation, and to promulgate such teaching. Now, can anyone claim that this was purely fortuitous, just by chance? Can anyone claim that all this was purely fortuitous? We must be fair. Was this man an educator or not? You can't see it, but in this room, we have a big picture of Abdul Baha sitting. It's a well-known picture in Baha'i circles, and I can just see his face, asking these questions because when he was these writings are from the result of talks that he gave, where he would actually be sitting at table with people, over a meal or whatever. But he would be sitting there with people, and I could just imagine him just looking them in the eye. We must be fair. Was this man an educator or not? It behooves us to ponder a while that if the immigration of Abraham from Ur to Aleppo in Syria produced such results, what will be the effect of the exile of Baha'u'llah from Tehran to Baghdad, and from thence to Constantinople, to Rumelia, and to the Holy Land? Behold then what an accomplished educator Abraham was. Wow. Abraham. Abdul Baha really makes you think, doesn't he? And he puts forth some very, very, very strong um, evidence. I don't even want to call it an argument. Evidence. And starting next week, we'll be looking at Moses. Some of these are actually rather brief. Like next week, we'll be reading about Moses. We'll probably finish that next week. That will be followed by reading about Christ, which is also relatively short. And then that is followed by reading about Muhammad, which is actually comparatively lengthy. And I don't know, but I can't help but think that, most of us know quite a bit about Moses. If you grew up in a religious tradition, let's put it that way, Moses and Christ. Many of us, especially in the Christian world, we don't know much about Muhammad. And so I think that might be one reason that I don't know, but that Abdul Baha decided, I need to tell you a little bit extra about Muhammad. What you heard might not be based on the reality of who Muhammad was. So that'll be interesting when we get to that. But right now, we're going to go ahead and stop reading right now. And anyone in our Zoom room who would like to offer up a prayer or reading or song of your choice, this is that time. And as always, we like to have Andy Murphy share a song with us. Do you have something to share with us today, Andy?
Yes, indeed.
Fantastic. Please.
O Son of Spirit, with the joyful tidings of light, I'll thee rejoice. speed through the immensity of space and traverse the expanse of heaven. Yet thou wouldst find no rest save in submission to our command and humbleness before our face.
Thank you, Andy. Is that a new song?
Beg pardon?
Is that a new song?
No, it was actually a new key that I played it in.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I was thinking, I don't know that I've heard you do that before. I was wanted to say you've been busy. Well, you've still been busy. You've been changing keys to your song. That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you
You're
so much.
welcome.
Is there anyone else who would like to share?
Sure, give me a second.
Good morning, Terry. Yes, please.
Good morning. Praise be to thee, O Lord my God. I implore thee by thy name that thou hast caused to surge within every drop the oceans of thy loving kindness and mercy, and to shine within every atom the luminaries of thy bountiful blessings and favors. I implore thee to adorn every soul with the ornament of thy love, that none may remain on thine earth who hath not turned towards thee, or have failed to detach himself from all except thyself. Thou hast verily, O my God, suffered him who is the manifestation of thine own self to be afflicted with all manner of adversity, in order that thy servants may ascend unto the pinnacle of thy gracious favor, and attain unto that which thou hast through thy providence and tender mercies ordained for them in the tablets of thine irrevocable decree. The glory of thy might beareth thee witness, were they at every moment of their lives to offer up themselves as a sacrifice in thy path, they would still have done but little in comparison with the manifold bestowals vouchsafed unto them by thee. Grant, therefore, I beseech thee, that their hearts may be inclined towards thee, and that their faces may be turned in the direction of thy good pleasure. Powerful art thou to do what thou wilt. No God reserveth thee, the inaccessible, thou glorious, the ever forgiving. Deign then to accept, O my God, from thy servant the things which he hath shown forth in his love for thee. Fortify him then, that he may cling to thy most exalted word, and to unloose his tongue to celebrate thy praise, and cause him to be gathered unto such of thy people as are nigh unto thee. Thou art he within whose grasp is the empire of all things. There is no God but thee, the Almighty, the help in peril, the all glorious, the unconstrained. That's from Prayer Meditations.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to share?
I'd like to do the healing prayer.
Please, Vicky, please. Yes.
Thy name is my healing, oh my God, and remembrance of thee is my remedy. Nearness to thee is my hope, and love for thee is my companion. Thy mercy to me is my healing and my succor in both this world and the world to come. Thou verily art the all-bountiful, the all-knowing, the all-wise. Thou verily art the all-bountiful, the all-knowing, the all-wise. Thy name is my healing, oh my God.
Thank you so much, Vicky. That was absolutely beautiful. I hope you do more.
I would
Is there
like,
anyone else who would like to share? It's Kim. Good morning, Kim.
hi. Create in me a pure heart, O my God, and renew a tranquil conscience within me. O my hope, through the spirit of power, confirm thou me in thy cause. O my best beloved, and by the light of thy glory, reveal unto me thy path. O thou, the goal of my desire. Through the power of thy transcendent might, lift me up onto the heaven of thy holiness. O source of my being, and by the breezes of thine eternity, gladden me, O thou who art my God. Let thine everlasting melodies breathe tranquility on me, O my companion, and let the riches of thine ancient countenance deliver me from all except thee, O my master, and let the tidings of the revelation of thine incorruptible essence bring me joy, O thou who art the most manifest of the manifest and the most hidden of the hidden. Baha'u'llah.
Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you. I love that prayer. That's one of my. I don't know if it's bad to say I have favorite prayers. As Baha'is, we have a prayer book. We are not required to say prayers only from the prayer book, but they are so beautiful, and they're prayers that were revealed by Baha'u'llah or Abdul Baha or the Bab, and there are so many absolutely beautiful prayers there. Uh, of course, the truth be told, there are so many beautiful prayers revealed by Baha'u'llah that if they had all of them in there, you could fill a library with them. But that was absolutely beautiful. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to share? Well, then, in that case, let's do what we always do. I guess a little bit of housekeeping is what we might say. Um, If you are someone who is interested in learning more about the Baha'i faith, maybe you're a seeker who wants to know more about the faith, or maybe you're a Baha'i who just wants access to, um, to information, the content, not just that we cover, but just the writings themselves. There are some very dependable, credible, authoritative websites that you can go to, and we always like to remind people of them, and these are those websites. I'll hold it up. I don't know if the Facebook people can see it. I'm trying to position our Facebook camera so it's a little better, but I don't know. Based on what I'm seeing on the screen, it probably isn't any better. But those websites are www.baha'i.org, www.baha'i.us, Baha'i, www.bahaiteachings.org. And what's not up here, I mentioned earlier, is Ocean Library. Is that com? Oceanlibrary.com. As I said earlier, it gives you full access, not just to what we cover here, but to the writings from all of the major world faiths, and it doesn't cost you a dime. It doesn't cost a penny. Okay, but also. You can also go to the Clearwater Baha'is website, who they're kind enough to allow us to stream this program through their website. And I also use my own Facebook page, but the Zoom is through the clearwaterbahais.org. And they also post them on their YouTube channel. So, and they have other programs as well. So if you were to go to clearwaterbahais.org, you would see an awful lot of content. You would see various speakers. They have classes on a regular basis, and they videotape them all, record them, and post them. And also, you can also join those various classes in real time. By going to clearwaterbahais.org, you can let them know that you'd be interested, and they can include you and give you alerts and so forth when various classes and so forth. You just have to obviously leave some personal information, and they could get more information to you. And you can be included in this wonderful. Just have access to all of this wonderful revelation. I'll go ahead and use that word. Or if you happen to be in the local area, we're in Clearwater. That's why it's called Clearwater Baha'is. And you could stop by the Clearwater Baha'i Center sometime to get more information. We do this from the Clearwater Baha'i Center. Usually we have like 2 or 3 people here. If you're local, come on out. Come on out. We'd love to have you. And the good thing is, obviously, we are limited by time. We have about 5 minutes left right now, but we often continue our discussions right here with the people who are here, and so we don't always have to just stop because there's another program following this, and Jeremiah is on a very, very tight schedule. He's the one that handles all the tech stuff, so yeah, that's why we're always concerned about time. But yeah, you can stop by, and we can You can be part of the live program. Okay. And as Daryl always says, if while you're out there living your life, even with all of the negative stuff that's going on, share some love. Share some love. It really, yeah, it doesn't cost you anything, and it certainly makes the world a better place. Those little acts of love that we show one another, uh, strangers, friends, family. Let's try and do as much of that as we possibly can with our neighbors, again, with our friends and family, and with strangers that we see, smiling, saying positive things, helping each other out in ways that we can. And let's work to try and make the world a better place. O people of justice, be as brilliant as the light and as splendid as the fire that blazed in the burning bush. The brightness of the fire of your love will no doubt fuse and unify the contending peoples and kindreds of the earth, whilst the fierceness of the flame of enmity and hatred cannot but result in strife and ruin. We beseech God that he may shield his creatures from the evil designs of his enemies. He verily hath power over all things. Let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be world embracing. Watch over yourselves, for the evil one is lying in wait, ready to entrap you. Gird yourselves against his wicked devices, and led by the light of the name of the all-seeing God, make your escape from the darkness that surroundeth you. Let your vision be world embracing rather than confined to your own self. These are the words of Baha'u'llah. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be world embracing. World embracing. Let your vision be world embracing. Have a good week, folks. Again, share the love, stay safe out there, and hopefully we'll see you back again next